Perfect.
All right. You guys ready? Yep. All right. Good evening, everybody. It is 7:02 p.m. on February 18th, 2026. I'm going to call the regular meeting of the Wellington Capital Improvement Program Committee to order. Members present as soon as I hit record on this. Meeting's called to order at 7:02 p.m. Members present are Jennifer McCoo, Christina Milos, myself, James Marshall, Jeremy Brothers, Jason Ross. And online we have Melissa McKinnon. Can you hear us, Melissa? Can you come off mute and just say hi?
I sure can.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
And Mike, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're a little choppy.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Sometimes I just need it slower.
I'm trying to speak clearly and forcefully.
All right, thank you, everybody. So without further ado, we'll get right into it. There's first up is President Speak. There's nobody in the room. I'll open it up online, although I think I only see one name. Hearing no discussion or no present to speak, we'll move on. There's another opportunity at the end. All right. Next up, new business. Approval of minutes for February 11th, 2026. Looks like it's right in front in your packet.
I move to approve the minutes from February 11th, 2026.
Second. All right. Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Nope. Nicely done, as usual.
Yep. As I was sitting here trying to update the spreadsheet, this was very helpful and accurate. So thank you again, as always, Lisa. All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Melissa, Mike?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Vote is unanimous. Thank you very much, everybody. All right. Next up, right into it. Old business. Fiscal year 26 to 27 to fiscal year 30-31 plan development. All right. I'll just set the stage a little bit. So there is an update to your plan spreadsheet, which you should have printed out in your packet, that captures everything through Public Works that we discussed at our last meeting, because that is roughly before we made it. To the best of my ability, those totals and those calculations are tracking to page 2, where you see all the local spending totals and whatnot. This is obviously a working draft, so if I miss a figure, we will confirm that obviously before we finalize, but we still have a meeting or two to go. And we'll give it a last look. What you will see that's a little different on this is we added that line 5, the new annual transfer to capital reserve for a fire station project.
Right.
For year 3. And everything else, the only question I had, because it was kind of unresolved for discussion, was the phasing of the dump trucks for the Public Works Department, whether or not we should be expressing a truck in year 4, or whether there's a 12-year cycle. And Mike, we can get into that in more detail. If you've had any further discussions with Troy, but we don't need to do that right now. So what I will flag just quickly though, on page 2, I've highlighted the 2 cells that are going to drive a lot of where we need to go. We took several $100,000 off of the local spending total at the last meeting, but it is still sitting at 2.2. Assuming all the math is correct, and I think it is. But the spending in year 1 from Fund 04 is significant and greater than the balance we have in that account currently. So they're just things to watch. I don't have and have not received updated fund balances from the finance office. I will need to connect with her this week to see if we can go through this again. I know she had some time away over the long weekend.
Jim, can I comment on that while you're on it?
Absolutely, please.
I'm meeting with Sherry tomorrow for operating budget and also to review fund balances.
Perfect.
And we have, as you would understand appropriately, we have not been bugging Donna. But we have been putting together a list of critical topics that we just needed to talk to her about, and this was one of the topics. So Sherry is getting some tutoring from Donna on how to understand the way Donna was showing the various different funds and how to access that information so that it all comes to what we are accustomed to on CIP, being the things we see each year.
Yep.
So I'm not sure we'll have that tomorrow, but over the next few days, we're going to put that together. So it'll be something like you're accustomed to seeing.
Okay, yeah, that's great, Mike. I guess between now and next week's meeting
Critical.
is critical just to stay out ahead of the Board of Selectmen budget. And I can interpret and massage this to a degree as well, but yeah, I think that initial pass usually comes from Donna and should come from the business office. So thank you for working to get that.
Yeah, we
Moving
just
along.
want to make sure that even if the format is not perfect, we want to make sure that we're extracting accurate numbers from the right sources so that at least the numbers are correct.
I can tweak formatting 50 ways to Sunday. That's fine.
Right.
The critical items are making sure the available fund balance for each of these on July 1st, 2026. And
Yeah.
any major changes to the project lists, particularly in the current year and year one on the current sheet. Current status, whether some have been closed out or if there's remaining balance on some of these. So, okay. Thank you, Mike, for
Welcome.
pushing. So with that said, I'm going to suggest we go. I did send you guys, I got a bunch of emails over the past week, which you have a giant packet, information from follow-up from the superintendent, Parks and Rec, a letter from the library, which I believe is in here somewhere. Second one. And something from the senior center. So we can go back and we'll address some of these items as Parks and Rec and Senior Center are coming up, but I'm going to suggest we go through the rest of the list so we can get the last meeting first and then kind of go back for supplemental discussion. That work? Sure. All right. So we left off at the library, which is now line 49 on your list. Which is the library bond payment. The last year is year one. That's great. We can't touch that, but it is the last year. So that is a recurring obligation that disappears and hopefully helps us. I think it actually does because the spending total reduces in year two of our plan as it currently stands, which is great. They have two outstanding projects that, Mike, I'd ask you to see if there's a current status on CIP 117, building repairs and the gutters. I know the gutters has not been expended yet because they are at the bid. But if there's any change on that and we can release any funds, that's great.
Because the building repair should be, I think they were well underway when last time we went there.
That one, yeah, so that was all under, like, they submitted multiple projects under a single request.
Right.
The gutters, I know they went out to bid. I don't think they've done the work yet. And I think we could find that email. Pretty sure he spoke to it, actually. Let's see. Second one. He did get a follow-up quote on the metal roof for you.
Yep.
Jeremy, which is $220,000 versus 67 for asphalt as currently quoted. It has got a greater longevity. But the other note on this related to the roof is that it looks like a portion of it is in worse shape. They're getting some ice dam damage, it looks like, as our.
As everybody else,
And houses.
Yeah.
as everybody else is.
So it looks like they're getting some of that gutter work installed this spring. So I don't suspect there's going to be much change on line 51. Line 50 might be expended, but they're not going back to fund balance. It's
Yeah, it doesn't say where they get, right? That's fine.
all right. So likely no change on that. So we have
55.
We have several projects. Some of them are new. He's got roof replacement in year 2, just related to that. That security camera value really actually.
Well, I think it was, and then that's when I believe I said when we were in there, is like, if you reached out to the same vendors that we use within the school system or here for the cameras to see if we could wrap stuff up with it. Like, yeah,
What's the number on that one? I just want to check it.
I do remember, it was quite high. I do remember that.
And there was also, I mean, it's not really in our purview, but there was, if they move forward with the basement, finishing the basement, there was blind spots, so there was cameras that weren't gonna be installed, so they were just consideration that would have to be, they'd have to consider down the road in that project, it's not adding those cameras.
Yeah, 45,000. All right. He did have that expressed as year 1 as the phone conversion. I think that's a ball.
I'm mad with everything that's going on. This is a Fund 04 hit too, because it doesn't say.
Well, it can be, we get to kind of decide what the approach to that is.
Because is it?
I haven't decided yet because we haven't discussed them, and we can move that along as we'll change these as the fund balances become available to us.
Yeah.
Projects like that, I believe, go through LoSiP.
Well, I was just gonna ask if there's a LoSiP for the cameras
LoSiP,
in the phone for that matter. I mean,
LoSiP should be able to handle both of those, and at quick glance,
I know we were getting close in that fund.
so we were estimating, last year, we were estimating 52,000 or so.
Yeah,
That's
52.
available.
Yeah.
They get new additions every year. I don't know what that is yet. That's usually provided by the business office. It was 87,000 last year. So conceptually,
Where's the 52,000 that you're talking about?
sorry, I'm on
The back, very back page.
the fund balance summary, this, Jen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at the special funds total because it says LoSiP $25,000.
Yeah, so we only have in year 1 currently, the only LoSiP spending that we have allocated
In year 1.
in year 1 is the propane. I flagged the motors and propane meters too.
Yeah. Which is 25,000.
And again, the fund balance summary is not the latest and greatest. So there are holds on that account. So the balances you see here also capture all of the project line items, down below in this section. So that projected end of, you'll see year 1 in this instance, the expenditures on 121. that would be our current year. But that includes the library repairs for 66,000, stormwater treatment chamber, which hasn't been done yet. Senior center toilet room door operators, which hasn't been done yet. So those are holes on the account. And then we put in 87,000 this year. So that, when all is said and done with all the prior approved stuff, leaves us with an estimated balance of roughly 52,000. From that, these new year requests, we have $25,000 that's not coming out on this that I haven't updated because we haven't moved anything around. So there'll be $25,000 from that 52 that we have allocated for the Mona and propane heaters. And if we wanted to do some of these other things, we just have to be cognizant of, we have 52 minus 25,000 plus whatever we get for LoCIP funds for this.
And we don't know what that is yet.
And we don't know what that is yet. It's probably in the neighborhood of $80,000, so it might be enough to cover all of this. And to that end, it's in our best interest to expend those funds.
Isn't that anything I'm recalling without wheels, like you can't have this on?
Yeah, it can't be school related either. So,
I mean, this is,
these would be.
these two are two good projects to put on that. That way there, it's not a hit to taxpayers at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then as that plays out, as we get to some of the bigger items down the out years,
Well,
we'll
yeah,
see where that tracks. But I think,
And they both need to get done.
as it currently.
Yeah. I mean, the phones are definitely in my eyes.
So I just have a question about the kind of sequence of projects. Steve emailed us and said that things were worse than they thought. So does that mean that they're thinking about needing the roof sooner than 2 years, or is the thing that they're gonna do with the heat, whatever they are, cables, gonna get them through until,
Sounds like they're getting an isolated, like many of the buildings now, like a roof
like my house?
age is not going to solve ice dam.
No, that's just the fact of the winter we had.
So, yes, they're having issues now. But it doesn't appear to be due to increase, like my guess is, and this is speculation, is that it's not due to further degradation of the roof assembly or rapid
Okay.
deterioration, but more just the unique instances of living in New England, with the weather, with the weird.
Because that's yeah, right.
Okay.
If that changes between now and next week, we can obviously move it forward. I think that roof has a little bit of time, and I think it needs to.
I think it has a little time too. I mean, when we were there, I did see some deterioration, but it's a 20-year roof. It's 20 years old, right? I mean,
Yeah, I just reread the letter and it does, he's not specifically asking to move the roof up. They have the gutters. Oh no, the gutters are already done,
the
right?
gutters are this year.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
talking that the heat traces.
It just hasn't been installed yet.
So when they do the gutters, they'll do that and that won't mess up the sequence for a roof.
Well, they would have to deinstall and then reinstall when they put a new roof on.
Yeah, but that's easy.
But they do that. Okay, awesome.
So what I will say is that looking back up to EMS, and I sent it late because it came in after I sent you guys these packets today, but Mike had sent along an email noting some significant water infiltration due to similar ice dams at Wellington Hill. That's another one I'm mentioning now because we're talking about it all in the same boat. That roof replacement schedule for year 2 as well. I know of the two, Wellington Hill is an older roof. It's in significantly worse shape, and I would prioritize it over the other.
How much was that one? That was
70.
70, yeah.
So I think there's a larger conversation there. I mean, there's maintaining building integrity and town assets.
I would love to see and hear where the fire department committee is and how far along they think they are. Just, I know we have to do it, but it's just a matter of.
The short answer is there is no
I-
comprehensive plan.
Right, and I understand we gotta maintain our buildings, but it's just like, you know, it's,
I believe me, I feel your, I feel your frustration on that.
Yeah, ditto that.
But with that said, though, with where they are at, the reality is that it's going to be 3-5 years before any significant project
right,
advances, and
Yeah.
it's not going to last 5 years, so it's
No,
going to be done.
I just hate to see.
I was hoping that we would have this resolution. This process started 2 years ago, so that things like this didn't get picked up. But we are where we are, and we'll have to just take it as it comes. So, so if we get down to it, I'm okay until we get fund balances and figuring out where things are. Carrying both Bruce in year 2, but I would move the library out if push came to shove.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
As, one of the financial committees, obviously just advisory on our part, but, do we have any opportunities to speak to either in person or, by email, the Emergency Services Facilities Building Committee and suggest that their lack of movement is impacting a lot of other projects in town and is not cool. I don't know how to finish that smartly, but.
Harsh on the vibe, man.
What?
You're harsh on the
Oh, yeah.
vibe, man.
you know, I it could be prudent, Jen, you know, just a statement saying from the perspective from the committee,
I mean, I don't want to put you in that position necessarily, but I think it should like Board of Finance maybe, or me as a present to speak person saying,
so I have I have spoken at those meetings in a personal note.
you have your own good.
With that said, I you know, I'll defer to Mike a little bit because that committee is also a subcommittee of the Board of Selectmen.
Mhm.
But from this committee's perspective, I mean, if we feel as a committee, we understand that the delays and that we are looking at projects for the departments that in an ideal world would have been resolved. And that there is an impact financially to these projects by the pace of the development of that committee's work. And if any, I'm open to other suggestions, guys. This is a conversation. I'm happy to write a letter and for on behalf of the committee.
So my goal is not to put you in an awkward position. I know you have a lot of stuff going on with a lot of committees, and I know that it's important for everyone to maintain their forum stability, whatever. But I feel from a fiscal perspective, our job is to kind of watch these things and make suggestions about these things. And I feel like this has been languishing, and it's not an insignificant amount of money.
And it plays into several other things as well. I mean, the parking lot replacement, what happens, how much of that building, or whether we actually do want to maintain that building as a town asset, I think is even an open question.
Yes, there's so many, pun, I guess, kind of intended irons in the fire that they are kind of supposed to be managing, and, our hands are a little bit tied while they're waiting.
Yeah, I mean, that's comment is well received. At least to me personally. I have no problem preparing a letter. I don't think there's going to be any change between now and next week or the week after that solves any of these problems, but I think it is critical that between now and, the coming months, so that we don't run into this situation and it doesn't languish.
Well, one of the things that happens as a committee, it doesn't matter what committee you're on. We have the same conversations year after year, and I don't want to be sitting here next year saying, well, when are they going to finish, or what's the next step, or so.
All right. Let me.
Jim, can I pop in?
Absolutely, please.
Yeah, all very good conversation. And this is something I've expressed for the second budget season now on that committee, that we're putting the committee's slow pace is putting at risk the ability to be in the capital plan. And so what I anticipate happening in the next couple of weeks is the report is going to be released by hook or by crook. And then that will finally get going, some public review and comment, but obviously none of that will be complete and lead to a plan during this process. We're already 2 months too late to be at the beginning of this process, and there's no way we're going to come up with some sort of a comprehensive plan in the next couple of weeks, which would be the end of the line to get it into this plan anyway. So I think if I take off all my other hats and I have just my CIP hat on right now, this process is just going to have to work with the information that has been provided, decide what's the right thing to do with the requests that are in hand, and keep moving forward. And those who have not submitted for some reason or another. And the CIP can't plan for things they don't have in front of them. So unfortunately, that's the position that the building committee is in right now. It hasn't produced information for CIP to work with.
Well, but to Jen's point on that though, Mike, is there advantage or is there opportunity in the committee stating that, kind of more officially saying that we can't plan for these?
Yeah, I think it's a very reasonable thing to that point. Yes, I was hung up on the why. Where are we right now? You're right. To the point about communicating, I think that's very appropriate for this group to say, hey, we're supposed to be here for you. We've been waiting. You haven't produced what we need to work with, so we're going to move forward with the information we have. And we really would appreciate if there's a comprehensive plan coming. We would appreciate it sooner than later, if nothing else, for next year's capital planning season.
Yep. All right. So yes, we'll have to adapt with what we have in the plan now for this season. That's a given at this point. I will, probably not for next week, but in the weeks to come, I will draft something that we can all put eyes on.
Yeah, I think we can wait until after this part of the season.
Yeah, I there's no urgency because we're not going to change the situation on the ground, but I think it is important to keep light the fire early.
Okay, I know people have stuff to do, but the reason that it would be maybe more appropriate now is because we are in the middle of budget season and there's $160,000 sitting in that account that they have not done anything with and that there's no plan for. So, and I understand we have to leave it there because it's already been budgeted, allocated, whatever the word is. But that's basically just sitting there when we could have done 100 other things with that money.
You're talking about the 110 lines 21 and 22?
No, she's talking about line 14 where it says 160K uncommitted.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
I believe that's what she's going for.
Yeah.
It is.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
No, thank you. Yeah, the 160 threw me. I'm like, I don't see 160. I should have known that. Yeah,
Which could almost cover both roof projects.
yeah. You could, but that committee is gonna need funds to do that work as well, but that's for them to.
Well, yeah, but that's kind of the,
Forward process.
that's kind of the point of the letter though, like.
Yeah.
You guys have this money. And like, obviously, we need fire departments, we're all on board with that.
Yeah.
But we have committed this money, we've made this commitment to you. You made a commitment to us and the rest of the town to move with some urgency. And you're not, and now this is just case in point.
Yeah.
Your delays are now holding up other things.
Yeah, I think that's a good sort of second point. Jen's point about we can't plan for what we aren't being informed. And the second point being, and by the way, you also have $160,000 tied up right now, which understandably is for committee operations. But if the committee's not using it, maybe it would help the town if that money was used elsewhere.
Okay. I will do my best to capture. And I'll of course send it to all you guys for comment first. Then I'll do it as quickly as we
Do you
can.
wanna delegate some stuff? I mean, we got a lot going on.
Do you want to take a stab at that? I would be perfectly happy.
I'm happy to take a stab at it. You'll probably have to edit it heavily, but I'll definitely take a stab
I'm
at it.
making a note, Jen, and to draft. That would be wonderful, Jen.
Of course.
Thank you. Any comments? You can ask Jen.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Thank you, Jen. And good discussion, guys. So with that said, just to close the loop, we do currently have, just as a point of note, the roof replacement for the fire departments, we had flagged as a direct capital expense out of selectmen's budget, not a Fund 04 drop. That is also something that we can evaluate because that 930 does hit taxpayer and Mike's in the selectmen's budget.
Yep.
But so does a transfer from the fund into capital reserve. So it might be a bit semantics. All right, so are we good with? We're going to try for low SIF
On the
phone conversion,
phone
and
and the
security,
camera replacement, yes.
and I'm okay with leaving those in year one, assuming funds are able to be allocated appropriately when we know that information.
Yeah, and hopefully we will know where we.
Beyond year one, we need more information on the unfinished basement
Yeah,
and that, but for now,
I think we
it
can
is
leave
what it is.
It's a potential project, so just leave it there.
I'm okay with the route for year two. And we can evaluate what we have capacity. That's again going to be, if we can do low SIP, but there's a lot of demands in year two, so we're gonna have to look at where that comes from. It's probably a Fund 04 draw. There's a lot there. There's that, and then I don't care about the out year 5 at this point because it's preliminary. And if we want to, we can stagger them. But so it doesn't sound like beyond fund balances, no changes to the library.
No.
Beyond what's submitted, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Any other thoughts on the library? Otherwise, we'll move on.
No other thoughts from the library.
Beautiful.
So the only, on the library, just one thing on the library, I don't see and I thought he requested it, is the, projector.
That was one of those preliminary.
That was a preliminary thing?
Yeah.
I wasn't, I
He
thought,
didn't have a full picture of what he really wanted to go for. And I thought he was talking, if I remember.
I thought he didn't have price, but if he wanted it sooner than later.
There was two choices he could go for, and he said something about the Friends of the Library. I don't know if he said they could cover the whole thing or not, but I think he just presented it more as something, as a nice to have, would like to.
But I'm just trying, I remember, I'm trying to,
I think I just got it, hold on.
remember the conversation.
Yeah.
It wasn't submitted through the portal.
No, it
Email after
was,
the fact.
I thought he brought it when he did his in person, when he came in person. And he handed that stuff.
Thank you for remembering that. Projector,
I mean, I forget if it's gotta go 3 years out, at least it's nice to have
the
a
rough total,
place.
$8,000. Mike, does that hit our minimum? It's gotta be bundled to be 10,000 or more to technically be a CIP.
Um,
Am I right on that?
we've debated this. We've debated this a lot too. The minimum amount versus the type of project has been a discussion. I think we have done projects as low as $5,000 if they were clearly capital. Christina, you have any sort of historical reference on that?
I think you're right. I can't remember what it was. But
I
if there
know
was,
way back in CIP, we were saying anything above $5,000 that wasn't operational should be at least brought to CIP for discussion. But that was like literally 30 years ago. And so the number crept up to $10,000 in some conversations. But again, there's no hard guidance.
right.
This is why some towns have a sort of a hybrid capital category. Some towns call it capital outlay and things like that. And it's sort of the halfway between where it's not really an operational expense that you do every month or every year, but it's not really a hard capital project like putting an addition on the building or buying a truck. It's those sort of in between things. So I guess that's a long way of saying we don't have an answer.
Carpet and computers. Always.
Yeah, so you're right. Thank you, Jeremy. I need to add that. We need to add that as a line item, somewhere. He doesn't express a sense of urgency with it, just that he's looking for an updated quote.
Right.
He doesn't list a sense of timing.
Yeah, can we just add to that and we won't put nothing nowhere, we're just, that way there it's there. I mean, you could put the price in it, but
8K for projector. Somewhere. Just going through since we're still in the library and I'm bringing it up. He has out year projects for HVAC upgrades, year 7 to 10, elevator. Thick.
those are all past 5 years.
Yeah, those are.
They were all
I'm
past
just-
5 years.
I'm just going through making sure, because I didn't think I had missed one, but the AVA apparently did. So thank you. Okay. I will reach out to Steve and just ask his urgency and if there's an updated quote on that between now and the next meeting.
Or if it's past 5 years, then we don't worry about it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Moving on. Moving on. Mike, now it's your show. Town office building floors, year 1. $35,000 out of selectmen's budget.
I looked at that floor yesterday. It definitely needs to be replaced, but I don't think it's necessarily the best use of taxpayer dollars at this point. I I'd like to move that project out. Put it in an out year for now, like maybe out in like year 3 or something. I think,
28,
what's that?
28, 29.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so part of my thinking is that there is the slight possibility that the resolution of the school building committee is going to lead to center school possibly being surplus. There have been conversations in the past about does it then make sense to look towards town office building at center school or whatever. And I honestly don't know that there'll ever be money to do that. But I feel like this floor is not a pressing issue. We can certainly wait a couple years.
okay. And then animal control facility. I'm guessing it's safe we can not carry 375,000 for a building replacement in this coming year for that.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've been pushing to try to get our final answers and get the agreement and get the state grant information solidified. And right now our group is meeting like every 2 weeks, and we're in this holding pattern, probably because the session, they're in legislative session. But we're expecting and like literally any day to get the signed grant, which is the 3-year taper down to make the combined program work. If when we finally get that and we sign the interlocal agreement between the towns, we are relieved of having to have an animal control facility at that point. But I can't commit to that yet because there are occasions we're even using it now temporarily, like in the middle of like if something happens on a weekend and they just need a place to hold a dog for an hour while they're getting someone to transport it to another town, we're still using the building. So again, I know that's not a clear answer, but the best I have right now is I feel quite sure we're not going to need that money. I just don't have it on paper yet.
All right, so it sounds like we can't remove it outright at this point in time, but we are not going to capture it as a year 1 ask and maybe be carrying it as a placeholder for 1 more year as a year 2.
I would. Can you, I know this is probably bad planning, but can we carry it in the plan but without a fund source? Or is that just bad planning?
That is, in my mind, bad planning. We have to be, I mean, we gotta allocate what the approach, I think, is to provide, it's a year 1 ask at that point, right? So,
Well, no, I was thinking if we moved it to year 2, could we unassign this fund source? I'm sorry. I should have said that part.
I still think we should I think we can evaluate what the best fund source is based on our given point in time, but as it's a year 2, we'll take best guess and project.
Okay. Yeah, let's put it in year 2. Whatever we assign it for fund source, I think we should put it in year 2.
Right.
I feel unofficially, I feel confident we are not going to need it.
Yeah, so I think the other advantage of pushing it to year 2 is it carries a placeholder because I think regardless of whether we need an animal control facility in town, we do need to do something at that building for the water line, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, there's going to be some amount of capital work there, some sort of renovation, stabilization, something.
okay, all right. I think that's the
Even
best.
if we do decide to surplus the building and move the water system out of there, it's going to be significant because the water lines from the well come into that building and the power goes out to the well pump from that building.
Yeah, you're gonna have to demo it. You're gonna have to relocate or record.
Yeah.
All right. Mike, there was also a computer request that's a new request for this year that I don't have captured because it came in late.
Yeah.
Do you have or want to speak to any update on that? Or is it just?
Yeah, I'll just briefly go over it as I've been kind of getting acclimated to what's going on. And, these things are in a lot of different layers.
Like an onion.
I had an annual meeting with our IT people, and I also brought up, they gave me all their stuff of what they're working on, and I also asked a bunch of questions. And of course, both of those things lead to ideas to spend more money. And what the IT people kind of let me in on, and I don't know if it was planned ahead. I don't know if anyone was warned previously, but basically told me this coming summer, if you will. So basically the 26-27 budget year, we have to replace 5 of the computers in the building because they get to an age point where you can't run the modern security software anymore, and it's evolving so much that their company won't assume the risk of maintaining those computers on the system. So that's between the computers themselves, the security software, setup, yada, yada, yada. It's $2,000 per computer. And that leads to, so 5 computers leads to $10,000 that they were expecting us to come up with this coming summer. And this
Okay, yeah,
again goes to the conversation about what is capital. Is our carpet and computers capital, or are they business equipment? Are they wear and tear? I don't know. But that's when I reached out to you the morning after I had that meeting, or maybe the afternoon I had that meeting with them. So it's 5 computers coming up, and it's 9 computers next year.
And so you have this as a phased request, 10,000 per year one, 20,000 per year two. There's no advantage or harm in staggering that, or there's no advantage in bulk order.
Well, it becomes one of those life cycle situations. If the device is good up to the 5 years and you replace it at 4 years, you missed 1 year of use, I guess, of life. And then you also have accelerated the next time you come up to 5 years, because now you're going to have 14 of them coming up 5 years after that, I guess, or whatever.
That probably should stay on the plan as a 5-year cycle.
So when I asked our Board of Finance people, last year or the year before, we had a similar situation with the fire department gear and I think we took it off of this and dumped it back into a budgetary concern.
I think we did.
Yep, there it is.
It was for the similar discussion is that it was on a regular and necessary routine replacement cycle, therefore it should be budgeted for rather than a capital item. That's what I'm going to ask here, Mike. Is this a cycle that you really should be an ask in your budget, and then a savings placeholder annually so that you have the funds available in your budget to replace these purchases?
I mean, I do have, the other thing I'm doing at this moment while we're doing this meeting is I'm working on my operations budget. And I literally have a line in my operations budget for computer expense for town hall operations, which is currently at $160,000. So I could easily add the 10 grand into this also. I mean, it's going to come out of, it affects the budget anyway. I can do it in operational if that seems like it makes more sense. Then we can go that route. I'll write the number in right now. I've got it on the counter in front of me here.
I mean, I tend to think it does.
I think it does. I think maybe, but this year seems like more urgent. Like maybe keep the 5 as like year 1 capture it, and then with the understanding that going forward it would be a budgetary, like work it into the budget next year.
Yeah, I mean, as an emergent situation, Mike, I think whatever way to Jason's point, I think we're here to work together, right? So, but I do think I do think if these are going to be on a 5-year cycle, then you should be budgeting for a 5-year.
Yeah.
You know. replacement ask.
I just think it's easier, like, when we get down into the nitty gritty and we start inevitably, when we come to Board of Finance in a few weeks, then we're like, yeah, no, this needs to go, this needs to go.
Well, Mike's gonna be there first before
Well-
finance, so.
Well, yeah,
Mike, why don't we do that, Mike? Why don't you capture it in your
I
budget?
just have one thing
Oh,
to say.
shoot. Go ahead.
So the only reason I could see that it would make sense to put into CIP is because this is the longitudinal way that we track stuff. The selectmen turn over every 2 years, so if the job of that office is to track the computers, like, Mike, do you know when the last time it was they were replaced?
I agree with you.
Well, I think these are all coming up on 5-year, but I only know this year and next year. I don't know how new the other ones are. So I don't know if there are 35 devices total. I don't know if the remaining 21 of them all come up on year 3.
So how confident are you that Novus will tell you when they need to be? Like, my thinking is if you happen not to be there in the next cycle where they need to be replaced, how is the next person gonna know that they need to be replaced?
Yeah, excellent question.
Novus doesn't track that for you guys? Like, that's not part of
Well,
their.
yes, they do. I think part of the challenge is we met for 4 hours, and I think we were all like done at the end of that meeting. And we also all left with tasks and prices, and costs, and that was just kind of the end of that meeting. But we have agreed we're going to meet more. So yes, I think they know the age of all the machines. They're very detail oriented. I think they just said, hey, for this next year or two, you got to know this. Thinking it was the pressing situation. So yeah, long-term planning, yeah, needs to happen.
Does anybody have objection around the table about saying, Mike, why don't you capture this in your
Well,
budget?
And I don't know if he could, I don't know if Melvis can tell him, say, okay, year 1, you're gonna need 5, year 2, you're gonna need 9, year 3, you're gonna need 9, and year 4, you're gonna need the balance. If he put it under that as selectmen or computers in town office building on a 5-year cycle, and then you just break it apart over that line. So when it does change, they're gonna say, all right, well, we gotta change this many computers in this year.
Does your budget
So
go
let-
up?
no,
Goes 1 year.
it's,
Oh,
Okay.
it's 1 year and limited information.
And,
Right.
It's just-
and the only problem I can see happening is the next year, let's say that it's not a pressing thing.
Yeah.
And then that's an easy thing to cut. And now it's not in CIP anymore, and it's, now you gotta fight to get it back into the operating budget for next year. And, cut something else to make it fit in there.
Well,
It's
I'll
like-
tell you how I'm solving it for tonight. I've already written it in on my budget worksheet for my operating budget for this
Mhm.
coming year for that $10,000 request. So I think at least to get through tonight, it's in my operational budget. And I've made a note on here to discuss the 5-year device cycles and how to plan that. So
And then when we go before Board of Finance 2 weeks following, we'll have the insight from your discussion regarding Mike's budget. And we can always, and inevitably will have to come back and make a change to this plan for one reason or another. We can adapt if we need to. But this way you can just
Well-
have to discuss the
If you
approach
could
with Board of Finance.
just make a line item for it for now, just don't put a cost to it, that line item.
Or we can own a year 2 cost as a placeholder, Mike, pending your decisions.
We could do that too.
okay. Yeah, so I would say, how about this? How about we keep the year 1 in there, but at a $0?
Sure.
So it's a placeholder in year 1, It keeps it in the and it's no impact on the budget. But it keeps the conversation, and then year two, keep the money in there for the moment. And we'll learn
We'll see.
more as we get through the rest of this budget process. And
Sure.
this may lead to other conversations about, it's sort of like a lower, a little bit less capital version of the conversation about life cycles of facilities equipment and the facility manager discussion and all that. Do we need to be more and more cognizant of life cycles.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've had conversations, or maybe there should be conversations about how you project your budgets, like budget forecasting beyond just budget crunch time.
That would be amazing if I could get to the point where I could do that. That would be amazing.
So, that's the sort of document, and that's the sort of planning that would pick up and not lose these things with transitions.
Right.
But I don't know how we get there, or we don't get there. So
Yeah,
that's a
that's a,
conversation for everybody.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Mike. Anything else for selectmen before we move on? Because we moved everything around on you.
No, there's more, there's definitely more stuff that I'm learning. That if I knew it earlier, we could have discussion about whether it belongs in the plan, but I don't have enough information yet. Like, I'm having conversations with multiple departments in and out of the building about business continuity and how we get things up and running when systems get knocked down, or we lose a building, or we have a 10-day snowstorm, all these other things. Like what is the resiliency we have in town operations? And that's leading to a lot of conversations about backup systems and all this other stuff. I'm working on a proposal to put some backup technology into either center school or the fire station, because they're on the same secure network. And that would allow, if something happened to the town office building, like a long-term power failure because there's no generator, we could set up town hall operations at the school or at the fire station. But that's going to require some secure ports into the internet and things like that. But I just don't have that stuff together yet at this point to be able to put numbers on it. So it's going to be an ongoing conversation. So I'm just mentioning it now because it might be out there. It might be a next CIP season thing, or it might be a special project during the year that we see if we can get funding for. But just sort of as a courtesy, there's a lot I'm learning, and I won't be able to spend the money that I think needs to be done, but I'm going to have a bunch of conversations about it.
Yep, understood. All we can ask is that you kind of keep us informed as they develop.
You got it.
If it's going to impact, particularly if we can get out in front of things before the budget season crush actually hits and try to
Yeah,
plan.
well, and I will just highlight one example of it. There's the conversation, whether it's, the conversation about the senior center generator or whatever. One of the easiest way for the town hall operations to continue would be if there was a generator there to keep the building running. But instead of talking about like a $50, $75, $100,000 generator project for the town office building, I'm looking at what is probably a $5,000 project to put secure ports at the fire station, which already has a $75,000 generator paid for by grant. So town hall operations could operate temporarily there for a $5,000 investment, as opposed to a $100,000 investment putting a generator at the building you're in right now. So that's why I'm sort of sharing this with you, because that's what's happening on the fly right now.
Okay. Well, thank you. Anything else? Moving on. All right, thank you, Mike.
Yep.
Assessor, I gave you that follow-up last meeting. I don't think there's any change coming up. All right. Open Space Fund, that isn't a new request. That is one that becomes low hanging fruit when the selectmen's budget gets evaluated year after year, but, that is yeah, right? 515, yeah.
Yep.
So that shows up because that shows up in the budget and the tax impact this year, so that's something. I mean, unless our local spending is really bad, remains really bad or really tight, that's picking at the edges. It's not making major
Can you
changes.
remind me again, I know you told me that the reason, that like that 40,000 that's in this prior year isn't there? Or that, you know, or these other transfers,
Because it's a transfer that was made, it's not hanging, meaning
Right.
it's been expended, it's no longer, it's in their fund balance.
okay,
It's, the transfer has occurred.
yeah, okay.
It's not a project that's open that hasn't been expended where funds are at.
So the only thing that's in here is just what's still open,
Correct.
okay,
Or that was open at the end of last season because we haven't had these discussions with the business office yet because of the conversations we've just had.
yeah.
Usually, like last year with Don and I sat, we went through and
Mhm.
closed what we could and updated what we could. We haven't had the opportunity this year. So.
Yeah. I just wonder if it's going to, if people are gonna wonder, well, oh, it's 40,000 this year, what was it last year? And it's not, it looks like nothing last year.
It was.
I think it was 40,
So what we do.
or maybe
I
30
think we cut it,
to 30.
yeah. I think
What we have done, it's in red next to the
Yeah,
names. We kind of captured the balance. I can do something similar for that.
Yeah.
I think it was 25,000. But I have the final plan opening right now.
I think they put it in for 40 and it ended up getting cut at
yeah.
some point.
Was it 30 or 25? I mean, it
Oh, I'm
doesn't,
sorry, it was 35.
okay,
35. We made it to 35 last year. So I can say 35K. Fiscal year. Okay, what is that? 25, 26.
Mhm.
And we can just make a note. But I don't want it to track in a balance because it's not,
Right,
like, it'll show up twice.
mhm,
Okay,
yeah.
any other thoughts on open space fund at this point?
No.
Great, moving on. Land use, land of conservation and development, $40,000 for, I guess, an in-house resource production of that plan. Mike came in, we had a pretty robust discussion about it. Anybody have any thoughts, feels? We need to have it done, so we gotta carry something. I think the only question was, in-house is all hands on deck scenario.
I mean, he certainly presented as that it's possible and feasible and,
Yep.
I mean, as you said, we have to have it done, so.
Sounds like a plan.
Of conservation and development.
I see what you did there, John. All right, so we'll keep that in as stated. And of course, if there is a change to that plan PCC comes up with, they can amend that at a later date. Okay. Parks and Rec. 3 new requests. Lighting and guardrail. This is currently captured as they submitted them for priority. I know we've had many discussions about moving the guardrail up and moving the others back.
And I'm still for that. I mean, I think we put the pickleball lighting back because I think the guardrail is a safety issue at that point.
Yeah.
And I think it's more pressing than the pickleball lighting.
I would also be interested in having more information about, not exactly, but kind of maybe even anecdotally about the usage of the pickleball court, like. Because that's a pretty good chunk of change, and if people are only using it during the daytime because there's no lights, that's one thing, but if people are, I don't know, that seems like it would be nice to know that.
Didn't that go down
It did go down, they took out money for the work that was
Already done, so it was just basically pulling the wire and putting light poles
It
in.
was purchase of light poles, pulling the wire and power up.
Right, so we're dropping that 30,000.
Let me get that accurate number, because I do have it. Give me 1 second.
Yeah,
Where I have it, I don't know. Hold on. I had 2 folders, is what it is actually the case. Parks and Rec. Which one's that one? I'll just up them all. All right. Oh, no, that was an email. Sorry. That came in after the fact.
It was after, yeah.
So 1 second. That came, I think we discussed it at our last meeting, correct?
the updated quote.
Yeah.
Right, well, it might have been the meeting before.
Assessor, Parks and Rec correspondence. Got it. Okay. 15K.
So yeah, I
A
got a
couple of
couple.
lighting. Is there detail on that quote? Yes, there is. Total installed cost 14,868, so 15,000. So pickleball lighting drops to 15,000. Can you tentatively gonna suggest we move it to year 2?
Let's move to, what's that?
I'm gonna, let's say we move it out of year 1 and year 2, and we move the guardrail up.
Yes.
Just because I think the guardrail,
I think it's more important than the lighting.
what is, so she sent a new quote for the guardrail.
That was in this packet.
The
Yeah,
documentation.
hybrid rail went to 35,000.
Very well, total 39,610, so $40,000.
Or 40, yeah.
Did she denote a preference in this?
I think it was our preference to have the hybrid.
We asked her, yeah.
Because I think
It was, the wood wouldn't rot in the bottom because you had the metal there, and then it was just replacing the wood at the top.
Yeah, she made it sound great, so I think you just.
just because that the steel would be sturdy and then cheaper to replace the wood when that eventually rots or
And it was still
damaged.
aesthetically,
Yeah.
aesthetically pleasing.
All right, so yeah, there's 4280 in there for replacement of the recently installed sections of the pickleball court to have it all done under a single project source and warranty, which I don't particularly want to make. I'm not going to make that call. I don't think it's our purview to make that call. So it's included in the quote. I'm okay saying this is $40,000 and that's the ask before CIP. Based on this latest information. Yeah. Does that sound right to everybody? All right, so line 72 comes $40,000 year 1.
But if you look at line item 3, is it, they want another $800 to get rid of the concrete footings. So we put it over 40,000.
That, I think that was included in the.
I don't think so. Is this removal of 20+ section of fencing, including panel and disposal, costs $24,070. Additional fee of $800 to remove concrete footings. So you would have to, if we went to concrete footings, you would have to add $800 to that.
Instead of burying.
Yeah, but the total on the last page was.
No, you'd have to add $800 to that, according to line item 3.
I'm gonna break out the fun calculator.
Yeah.
And just go
I
3.
did it pretty quickly in my head, and it seems like you'd have to add another $800 to that.
Well, here's my bit. I may, let's say I typed that wrong and I'm gonna redo that. Because that came out higher than this quote. Plus.
Yeah.
2470. I get $41,525 adding those 3 lines together.
Yeah.
One of
So
them,
minus 800 then, minus the 800. Added that number.
we're still over
Oh.
30, we're over by thousands.
Sales tax. They got sales tax in that number, and aren't we? If you look at the subtotal, should have been 37,250.
Oh, you know what? That 39,000 doesn't include the 42.8.
To what?
Oh, yeah, it doesn't
That
include
40,000 doesn't include the 42. This is a weird quote. That is my guess. 34775. We shouldn't have to do this. But we do. 34775 plus 2470 equals 37,245 plus tax gets 30. Yeah, so there is $800 is not included.
Right.
Oh, by the
40, there's also 4280. That's not.
Oh, because they were gonna, because this one's down by the pickleball court, so if we're gonna extend it around the pickleball court.
Yeah. So if I go, I'm gonna do this math just because I'm curious now. 37,245 plus 4280 plus 800 equals plus 6.35%. That brings a total of $45,012.64.
So you might as well just keep what
It's
it's there.
gonna be 50 and then less. If we want to provide the option for them to make the decision on what the best course of action is for this route.
And that 50 was also just all wood guardrail. So it's really,
Well, don't we want to decide, because if it, we would be on the hook for future replacement costs, so.
I think we keep the budget at 50,000. We send Troy down and her down and discuss which one's the best route for the town to go.
And
I hate to throw Troy in it, but
then they make that decision.
and make that decision between the rec and public works.
So for our needs, because
I would keep the placeholder where it is.
I think it's 50,000, and for us, I guess the ultimate decision is, do we feel it's warranted for year one of that value?
I personally, to me, I would move the pickleball lighting because that's not really a necessity. And the wood guardrail is a necessity. If there's cars coming in, there's kids playing, at that point, it's a safety hazard in my eyes. So
Yeah, regardless of
what
it looks like.
yeah.
It needs to be done.
Okay.
But did they have, I hate to be hung up on this, but did they have in the previous quote, and I don't have it here, did they have the guardrail going around the pickleball court?
Let me read it now.
I mean, it's only $4,000. That's kind of nickel and diamond at this point, but.
Well,
Because that's the part not included.
I don't understand the question about the guardrail around the pickleball court. Can you say that again?
In this quote, they have a section where the timber steel hybrid guardrail system, additional replacement by pickleball courts.
So, Mike, I guess what he's saying right now, we have an existing of 646 feet of existing guardrail that's down at River Road Complex.
Yep.
And they gave us a price of additional 80 feet of timber guardrail that would extend farther down towards, I would say it's the
Like around
Towards the commuter lot.
towards the pickleball court down by the commuter lot is what I'm guessing.
Okay, yeah, because I mean the pickleball court is located a little bit north of that, but the rail does end. There is a little bit of open area, so that must be what that additional is for. I don't agree with the reference to the pickleball court, but that must be what they decided to use.
Yeah, probably just an easy landmark, but
Yeah, it just says.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, it says timber steel hybrid guardrail system, additional
Got it.
replacement pickleball courts is what it says, so.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I'm not seeing it. Information to the sport. No, that's pickleball lighting.
I mean, it really doesn't matter. I don't need to hijack this for that. It's curiosity.
Yeah, the only quote provided was just a letter describing a project as a part of the project submission from Parks and Rec. So we don't actually have that quote. She did come in and talk about it though.
Yeah,
Yeah, they gave us pamphlets and that's what had all.
yeah. So I have it. And so I can look at it. That's just my own morbid curiosity.
I don't know what's morbid about it, but it's fine.
It's wicked morbid.
I get
It too.
It's morbid that I get hung up in the minutia, so bad.
Great minds think alike, Jay. I, however, did not grab that stack of paper apparently.
It's morbid that I see the $34,000, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, and then I see the $4,000, and I'm like, hold the horse.
There's a straw there somewhere.
That is, no joy.
Yeah, it doesn't. I derailed this one, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't have the specifics of it, but I think this is the preferred option, at least from our perspective, and, I think that. Yes, that. Okay, so the only thing we haven't talked about is the soccer field lighting. Which
In a year two, but
she's waiting on additional information about a potential grant funded option for that through a different vendor. I don't believe.
I thought she gave that to you last week and it was more expensive to go, but, oh, no.
So she has to go with Musco, she has to go with that vendor for the value, but I think there's a grant
That they were gonna
that
go
covers
over
part of that.
Yes,
So we don't have the information, so it's not
it's not in year one.
Yeah,
it's not a year one as it is, but, I think that's a larger discussion for this town. And I think there's more detail that needs to be provided. We can leave it in year two. My preference
Two
would
is getting
be,
pretty full.
my preference would be to push it to year three as a not priority item. I know they're looking at it as a potential extending the life and revenue source, but,
I don't know whether they get
I'm not even convinced we're there yet.
enough ROI on.
I would like to see what the rental to lighting costs would be.
It would be different if we could, as a town, investigate some kind of solar option. If that,
And is it true that the land next door to it was bought to put, fields on?
I don't know that it was bought to put fields on, but I know that the town owns surrounding.
Oh, yeah, over
To the-
there, but like the big field next, like the next parcel.
Oh, yeah, like
That's a,
across the river.
The, from the edge of the walking trail to the northmost side, closest to Roaring Brook, there are two property lines. There's one a little bit into the woods, which is the end of sort of the River Road Park parcel. And then the
Mhm.
next parcel encompasses both branches of the Roaring Brook, and that is town property. I thought it was state deep, but it is actually town property. And then next property line then is north of the two brooks. So that parcel that includes the brooks is again town. And that next parcel to the north is that old cornfield. I think it was called
Mhm.
Primo's Field or something like that. And that is the one that was bought by that other soccer association. They still do own it. I checked the deed the other day. I don't know why they haven't developed it because at the time they did that, they said there was a lot of demand.
yeah,
And I believe there was some resistance somewhere to the design or to lighting. There was some resistance in the town to some of the conversations, but I don't know that they ever even got to an actual application, like a land use application. So again, I'm not sure why it's just sitting there. But it is sort of integral to that question about the demand that Rachel was talking about. If there is demand, and it seems like from what Phil is saying, like where his daughter plays soccer, sometimes they have to play late at night because that's the only time they can get field time. I'm unsure why this group that owns that other place hasn't developed it yet.
probably because it costs $500,000 to do.
Yeah.
Rachel did mention that she did apply for the grant for Musco. She doesn't know how much they reimburse. But it is, next round is a deadline of March 31st. We won't find out and she won't have an answer, but I think we'll have further detail by next year. I think there's also, I don't know, given where the potential school project may be, whether it's on existing property, taking up existing soccer fields or existing capacity at all, whether there is a need for additional off-campus space for our existing programs down the road, and whether this has something to do, whether this, maybe there's advantage or overlap in factoring into that as well. I just don't know, but I don't think it's gonna be next year. So,
I think we pushed that, the soccer to year 3 anyway. Year 2 is pretty full.
any objections?
I just, if we're gonna push things, do we have any, do we feel any need to let people know why? Like, I think that, we have rationale for it, for sure, and just, letting people know why we're pushing it out and not just saying we don't have enough money to pay for it.
Yep.
I just think that is lack of information at this point.
Right, but I think if we have questions,
Communicate.
Yeah.
And we have, and I did that with the UTV request for Bill, and you have additional supplement in the packet. I can do something similar with, we didn't change anything to the library, did we? But,
No,
where we make those changes, I think ultimately our plan will kind of capture that, meaning the report as well as,
yeah,
as this document, but I think it's a courtesy, it's definitely.
because I think because we changed everything on
Yep.
Parks and Rec. We pushed the 225 out to year 3. We took the pickleball lane to year 2, and we took the fence to year 1. Right?
Yeah, and when she was in here, she was amenable to that. She's like, this is my first time doing it. I wasn't sure how to prioritize this. So I think she's amenable to
Right.
that conversation, and
Yes.
it's not, so, all right. I have enough to do that. That's it for Parks and Rec. Then we get to the senior center. Which is a stack of paper. She sent a additional quote. She sent detail on the quote for the generator, that we have captured in year 2. They do not currently have a year 1 request. I have not removed it outright yet, but I did cross out the security system because they've eliminated that from consideration. They have, 3. No, am I missing the values lines?
No, I think it's all of them. It's at that.
Security system comes out 165. No, we're good. Okay. Yeah, there's nothing in year 1 from the senior center, which is probably a good thing.
I have a question about the generator.
I have lots of stuff yet, so
Oh,
shoot.
Okay,
Yeah, go ahead.
maybe they're the same questions then. I wonder I don't know how to nicely say this, so I would assume that a purchase like that that's funded by the taxpayers would be part of an overall emergency plan, because the senior center doesn't have people living there. So if we're using that as a space, a congregate space in the case of an emergency, I would assume that there would be a plan for that. Right.
Because they signed up for, to be emergency, warming center and things like that.
I understand that, but like, I would anticipate that, we could have a conversation with, the emergency manager about where that fits into the town plan. Or is it redundant? I mean, Mike was just saying that there's not diesel, whatever, kind of generator at the fire station. So do we need a generator at the fire station and at the senior center in the case of an emergency? Maybe we do, I don't know, but
And then you got generators at center or at hall
yeah,
also.
I think some of the sensitivity that they expressed was that the senior population is the building as well, and the ability to maintain
Yeah.
that, or those residents, but I agree with your point, Jen. With that said, we don't have, I don't know what the process or methodology is for coordinating that outside of this, because it really is falls kind of outside of our purview beyond making a recommendation again, saying, you know,
I mean,
we
it's
would envision this as part of
probably,
a comprehensive strategy for the town.
it's probably worth asking the emergency management director about, only because Jen's right. We have a plan for the town that's approved by the state and, you know, gets revised. Maybe not annually, but periodically. And it takes into account all these different things of where we need to have all these different assets. And, that was not on the original plan. And it gets into, well, if you have a generator, who's gonna do the maintenance on it? Who's gonna cut the grass around it? Who's gonna put the fuel in it? Where's the fuel gonna come from? Who's gonna pay for the fuel? All of that, and none of that, right now is being captured anywhere, I don't think. But it's worth asking the question.
Yeah, I think this is a great conversation, actually. And I feel bad that I didn't think of it already. So nice job, Jen and Christina. This reminded me that when the first senior housing was built, the apartment building, that was built with a generator, but it's a small generator and it only carries a certain amount of, it only provides a certain amount of service in the building. And I've always thought that that was not a good choice. I'm sure it was the choice that was right for the project and the grant funding and whatever else was involved. But for example, the generator does not operate the elevator. So the people who are on the third floor in senior housing who are in a wheelchair are now stuck on the third floor if the power's out, even though the generator is running because it's only providing lighting and a few other things. So that does beg the question is, should we do something more comprehensive? Maybe the more comprehensive thing is upgrading the generator at the senior housing because that building also has a kitchen and everything else in it. So then everyone in that little village area there could go to the senior housing if there's an extended power outage. That building operates properly and there's a place for people to eat and get warm and all that. So I think this is an excellent conversation for a larger picture.
So what's the process for, I guess, initiating that in the context of understanding how this fits in?
Well, I mean, I can make a note to try to follow up on it, but it also could be just a simple email from CIP saying, like to me and to Stuart as the emergency manager and saying, hey, we're having this conversation. How does this fit into the town's comprehensive plan?
I'll draft that one if you want.
Yes, please.
Emails for me.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
What emails are you guys sending?
I send more than enough emails at work.
So the other thing to note is this was submitted as 50,000, but this quote is for 91,000.
Yeah.
Plus you gotta add tax to it.
Plus all of that, so it's 100,000, which I'm gonna go ahead and take the liberty of updating that as a placeholder for $100,000 for a future project.
Do you want me to just send that and also copy the senior center person so that they know we're talking about this?
I don't think that could hurt.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Who is that person?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. That's kind of transition. Nan has taken over Nan's been the one who submitted all this work and was the one that presented to us.
Right.
You said you're gonna update that to 100,000, right?
I'm gonna call it, I'm just gonna call it generator. It's diesel, this is propane, they originally submitted it as diesel. So generator installation.
Leaving it in year 2, or you're gonna push it to?
I don't know. I think we can leave it in year two and see where the,
I would say,
cash flow
but
happens.
let's see where
See where we hit on fund
where
balances.
land is, where it is.
Okay. And then the toilet room renovation is year four. At this point, we don't have much in year four, so and I think there's a way before that becomes realistic anyway, so. All right. With that said, I can't tell you guys where we fell on this because I've been doing it in front of me because it was easier than trying to do it on the spreadsheet on the computer. Actually, we didn't move too much, so I can do this right now. Hold on one second. I can give you a sense of where we are for local balance. So we put this to here. Nope, we push that to your, yeah, you do too. A pushed forest to your three, correct? Yep. Okay, so that goes away for year one. All right, what else do we move?
We moved the
We moved all the Parks and
Pickleball.
Rec stuff. Hold on. All right, Parks and Rec.
we moved the pickleball to year two. We moved the soccer field lane into year three. And we moved the guardrail to year one. But the pickleball went down to, I forget, now 15, yeah.
Thank you.
Though it probably won't be 15 by the time we get around to doing it.
You've been here long enough to know how this all works, Jen.
Correct, Amanda.
There we go.
Add 10% to it.
Yeah. That's really all we moved up. And the generator became.
Well, you moved, animal control back.
Yeah, I got those already.
All right,
I removed those. Thank you.
I don't know if you did that one. That was a big one.
All right. So that puts, because not all of that was local spending that we moved, that brings our local spending total down to $2,167,068 in year one. It moves our line, is it still line 94 on this? Yeah, line 94, the Fund 04. It brings that down, that 900 something thousand number that I had highlighted previously, down to $557,500, which is
57 what?
500.
500, yeah.
So that is advantageous because we project a balance of 832,000. I don't know where that's going to fall, but that's where we were, and that was reduced. So we had projected enough to cover 900 something thousand. It was reduced from last year's budget as it all worked out. But now we're under that. So we do have a few $100,000 in wiggle room really, while covering the next year's expenses as well, which means we have some breathing room in potentially those transfers up in lines 3 and 4. And relying on, like, meaning we have to input less because we have balance. Yeah. Which is really, based on what we've discussed, there isn't much, there's $0 for the computers. The select when I have it in printed that, but it doesn't affect it. So yeah, those are the discussions, and I don't want to get too deep into the weeds on that now until we hopefully have fund balances and really make those decisions at our next meeting. Because without fund balances, it's we're throwing darts.
Yeah.
So Mike, that is, I know we talked about it earlier, but that is the priority, is to really have we kind of critically need those numbers in advance of our next meeting. As early in the week as possible from the business office. So, to the extent that I can assist or can come in and chat through it too, I will endeavor to do so to make sure that it happens.
Yeah, it's in, I have my top, well, let me back up.
They're all.
It's in my top 3 for tomorrow.
Take after the board of eight, top 3. Are you gonna email who are you gonna
I'll be emailing that
generator?
generator.
Okay, so it's heading in the right direction. I think we can get down closer. We are still going to have an increase because of and that'll be the discussion we have next. Because of the dramatic reduction last year, we're gonna see an increase this year. It's unavoidable unless they reduce again and recut. Whereas if we hadn't cut last year, we wouldn't be seeing a tax increase this year. Related to as much of the tax increase this year related to CIP needs. And that's just that ongoing conversation. On a positive note, and I don't know if this math, so I don't want to get too positive with that because I know the math is the math thing.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
No, I'm not gonna do that. The local spending total, I believe is mathing, and that is more than $200,000 less in year 2 than it is as we have it situated in year 1.
That's good.
Which is good, because it means we can find some balance and then it goes up gradually the next year, and then it jumps when we capture a fire station bond project in year 4 and beyond. So that's the transition now. And of course, that will all change when we input whatever the school happens as well. So next year. This is looking less onerous than it has in years past at first glance.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is, I mean, I know it's hard, but I do feel like we're moving in a positive direction, even if not everything is solved yet.
Yep.
So good work, guys, and thank you for your efforts to try to work through this and fight the fight.
Yeah.
And then we'll see, and that actually factors in that $1 million in local spending too. So for the So if that plan all works out, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
All right. So what we'll do here is I will make these plan changes. Is that, it's an easy fix. I will make sure that this is buttoned up. I will double check that the cells are mapping correctly. So that when we do get fund balances, we can kind of cross check. I am hoping if the business office gives information ahead of the meeting, I can make sure that this is reflecting. I just don't know when it's going to come in. And worst case scenario, we have a rough number for Mike next week that can be captured in his budget before the Board of Finance. And then we have 2 weeks to refine before Board of Finance, with this plan, and that'll obviously be a good take with Mike's budget. So I really want to get this done by next week, though. If we can.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot going on in town.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other thoughts on this one, guys?
Nope.
For now? How about online? Melissa, Mike, Peter? All right.
Yeah, good. Everything's good.
I've said enough.
Hi, Pete. I didn't even see you come in. Lisa, I hope you captured him. All right, thanks.
I got him.
Okay. Thank you. All right, old business moving on. Item B is plan approval, which we are clearly not doing tonight. So we will table that. And facility manager, I think I was going to draft something up for that, or we were going to compile a notes and a letter, and I'm sorry I did not. So let's table it. I'm going to table that one again as well. That is going to go in that discussion of items that will probably happen after budget. But thank you for your assistance, ladies. And we'll get that. Okay. So with that said, we're back to present to speak. There is still nobody in the room. It means budget season deliberations will be interesting, but online. So I'll open it up to anybody online. If you have any present to speak, please feel free to raise your hand and identify yourself for the record. All right, going once. Going twice. Thank you very much for your attendance. There's always opportunities in the next meeting. So without further ado, next up is adjourn. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion adjourn.
Second.
You guys are fighting for it. All right, motion has been made in second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody.
Feel better.
The meeting is adjourned at 8:42 PM.